So thank you so much. So we are going with the We Talk series today on the topic engineering experience for a changing India, technology, society, and sustainable future. So thank you for this opportunity to launch the YouTube channel as well as give this talk to my and the listeners being my own classmates, batchmates, and my teachers. I can take the liberty of telling uh, some facts and figures possibly can go wrong. But then this is a PowerPoint presentation come talk. So please don't read through the PowerPoint at all because many of you may be looking at the mobile phones. So you won't be able to see the screen, read it. So don't worry about it. You just need to listen to me only. So what I thought that the content of this speech is based on some of my experience with working with governments. Uh, for example, the central government, I was a secretary, so I had an opportunity to work with a lot of secretaries and looking at how the country is changing, what are the type of engineering interventions that are happening in various sectors. So I thought of putting that together to give you a talk today. So I hope that slides are changing, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Change
So
it.
what
Yes.
yeah. I just wanted to tell you that the technology is a force that is inclusive and sustainable development is all dependent on that technology. And today in India, the technology drives the social transformation and its adoption becomes important. And as engineers, what we should do, what we should understand. So from that context, I will cover some points which I mentioned here, which includes our scientific heritage and how the technology is changing now, the total landscape, and how it is important for India to fix its goals, especially engineering education, how it is changing, and what is the importance of the institutions that are there, and how it is relevant for us as economites and engineers. So this is how I will structure my talk. So if you look at the changing landscape of technologies, you will see everywhere. I think this is something known very well to you, especially everyone talks about AI, talks about deep learning, computer vision, NLP, autonomous cars, robotics, medical diagnostics coming in a big way. Of course, there are better user interfaces coming with many algorithms, the haptics. Uh, then we are coming very big way in many areas, including learning, teaching, healthcare, online reality, augmented reality. The data analytics, visualization, and presentation becomes very important. Change, the blockchain and robotics becomes important. I think all of these are some of the symptoms of the development and changes in the technology domain, and corresponding business industries, learning, teaching, all that is changing in the domain of engineering. So the compartmentalized way of looking at engineering is drastically changing, and even the economy of the nation also is linked to what is happening in technology sector. So we talk about exponential technologies. I think some of these are well known to you. The way the technologies are becoming very fastly evolving, especially domains like neurotech, the nanotech, the energy and sustainability becomes an important topic in technology. All the ICT technologies, similarly the 3D printing, additive manufacturing, AI, robotics, all of this. I think all of you are familiar with the type of the growth and its impact in the society. Similarly, the technology is also strongly linked to the sustainable development goals. I think this is also most of these engineers who have worked in various positions. I think you must be familiar. The SDGs are important for a nation and also for the world. I think how do we discuss poverty alleviation, hunger, quality education, gender equality, like that, sustainability, the environment, climate action, and how many of these technologies are linked to. So there is a conscious effort everywhere to link the new domains of technology to SDGs. And everywhere you can see the businesses are also linked. If those businesses and industries who positively linked the corresponding technology to the SDGs, they have a higher say and business potential in the coming of age. Similarly, you also see the IoT becoming very important. I think all of you are now owning many of the wearables, measurements which are there for your medical health, sensors, and they are connected seamlessly to the networks. They get processed, and you get a lot of insights through that. I think that business also is emerging in India. The IoT market is also emerging very well. A lot of institutions are putting effort in coming to IoT. Especially the IoT related work in government is also increasing. The domains like smart city programs, 100 smart cities, where IoT application becomes an integral part of it. Also in the domains like businesses, logistics, agriculture, and of course factories and machines. They used to be connected to IoT in the past also, and new domains are emerging in IoT, which shows great prospects for business. You can also see genomics and medicine is strongly evolving everywhere. Today morning, I had inaugurated a startup company in my own institution, Indian Institute of Science, they are working on medical technologies to look at how insulin related issues can be handled through sensors and insulin pump development. All of that. There is a startup company my own classmate started just today morning. So I can see this everywhere. This genomics and medical related technology development in the engineering field is becoming bigger. I recently went to US and really saw that in most of the institutions or even universities, much of the funding is in this domain, and all the engineers are now moving to medical diagnostics technologies related areas as their core areas of research. So you can see this is going to be one of the important domain, especially dealing with large health data analysis. Genomics as a fundamental of understanding the human health and longevity. The sensors that are required to analyze, diagnose various aspects of human beings, drug delivery technologies, etc. So there are a lot of work happening in various domains. Also, its extension into the domains like biological creation of medicines, biological cell-based chemical synthesis. I think all of this becoming very important domains in the research domain. You can also see drones emerging in a big way in various areas like warfare, medical, delivery, security, agriculture, and there are a lot of drone companies now come up all on a sudden in India, especially focusing on defense as the primary markets, but there are also other markets like agriculture and logistics. But then this area is likely to grow very, very fast with more indigenous content and support from government. You can also see AI and machine learning, as all of us know, it's also growing substantially. The India AI aspects, I will discuss a little later what is happening in the domain. And AI is, though we thought that AI is only happening somewhere, it's not affecting us, but we now understand it is, it is impacting us in a day-to-day basis now, especially in education, teaching, evaluation, content delivery, medical diagnostics. Even in my domain like space technology, AI has come in a strong way, especially in imaging, communication, all the navigation, surveillance, everywhere AI is in a big way. And in our day-to-day basis, our mobiles and computers, it is very much there, but it's going to be much more usable in every domain that we talk about. We can also see the growth of technologies in agriculture, especially look at the precision farming and algorithmic agriculture, where we look at integration of sensors, data coming from various sources, robotic applications, especially with drones, where we look at water resources planning, its regulation, application of micronutrients, pesticides in a controlled manner. So all these are important because the agriculture is going to be one of the important domain every nation need to look at, especially for a country like India. We see there is a demand for increased agriculture production, but there is an issue with respect to the resources, including land, fertility, water availability, etc. So we see unless we focus on technology, we will have a problem in agriculture. We also see emergence of technology in the domains like entertainment. For example, your TV, all other forms of entertainment are significantly changing, and you are seeing your TV. I think most of you will not have a TV at home. I believe those who are using TV of the old generation are the old generation. I think new generation don't even sit in front of the TV at all. You can also see strong changes that are happening in this, especially with respect to the new technologies emerging with respect with the virtual reality, and also you becoming part of the entertainment itself. So there is a lot of development. I don't want to describe them because that's not the topic of discussion. Now, when you look at all of these changes and in emergence of new domains of technology, how India is getting ready for it is something which is important. And what are the important aspects that we need to consider? Look at India. India is going to be a very populous country, and we are already the largest population, 140 crore people, and it is projected that we will reach almost 160 crore and may get stabilized, won't increase further because that's the type of prediction that we have. If you look at our GDP, it's also going to increase to something like 6 to 20 trillion. The predictions change with the different sources. Our annual budget, currently at almost 40 lakh crores, is likely to reach 100 or maybe more lakh crores depending upon various factors. One indicator like agriculture export itself is going to increase almost double. But one of the advantages that India has is the young workforce. Compared to many other nations, our young population is almost 25%. So there is a demographic advantage for this country, which is to be used effectively. That becomes an important topic. But then while we do the science, look at science and technology, we should also recognize the fact that India was a technology nation once. And if you look at our historical understanding of science and technology in India, we flourished in the domain of science and technology in various aspects. I think I don't want to describe all of this, which includes medicine, planetary sciences, the civic amenities, and mathematics, processing of alloys and materials, and philosophy. I think all of these areas we excelled once upon a time, and then all these were not preserved or continued due to various reasons. I think these reasons are well known to all of us, primarily because of the way in which we kept knowledge, the way in which we transmitted knowledge from generations, also because of the people who invaded us and destroyed us in a systematic manner. All of this contributed to it. But then I will give you one example of the scientific tradition is in the domain of metallurgy. For example, you look at the Zawar process of zinc. This is something which was known only to Indians once upon a time. And the entire world was traveling to India to buy zinc from us. And even this was destroyed and then taken back to Europe. Same thing happened to steel. The steel manufacturing was concentrating in the part of Tamil Nadu once. The entire steel manufacturing, all the best of the steels in the world were manufactured here. But then all those people who were building high quality steels were butchered and removed from that profession with the knowledge transferred to other part of the world. I think these are something which we need to be aware of. I think in the new world, when we develop technologies, how technology can all of a sudden vanish from the country if the country is not stable and country is not well administered as an integrated country. I think this is something which is important. Let us also look at the Indian engineering power. I think 2 days are important for me. One of them is 11th May, which is celebrated as the National Technology Day, because the day then we exploded an atomic bomb. Possibly it showed one of the highest of achievements of not really in the domain of social engineering, but it's important as a technology accomplishment. But also look at the 23rd August is also celebrated as a National Space Day, which I had some role to play, making the Chandrayaan-3 land there and declared as National Space Day. This both shows that we are no longer a very soft power. We are actually a strong power in technology. We need to work on this, some of this motivational aspect of these days that provides to us. I think I am audible and you are seeing the slides changing occasionally. Checking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you look at India's current assets and emerging challenges for the next 25 years, let us look at India as one of the largest country with not very large area, 2.4% land area. We have 18% of the world's population. But if you look at our changes, of course, the current status all of us know. But then, if you look at the projections, we are continuing to reach around 1.6 billion people, but 50% of them will be urban. If you think that India lives in villages, I think many of us are wrongly mistaken, saying that the villages are no longer the villages of the past. They are also changing dramatically. People moving to urbans and urbanization happening very, very fast. And food grain demand is very, very high today. We also have equally important issue of groundwater depletion, which is happening almost 3 times faster than earlier. The temperature rise is issue. The sea level rise is becoming a serious issue. And we also have higher rate of disasters and the mortality corresponding to that. So we have to look at the country needs to enhance agriculture production. We also have to look at land degradation, bioresource conservation, water forecasting, disaster resilience, greenhouse gas emission reduction. All of these are important as a nation. Corresponding technology infusion becomes important. Now look at India's technology and science status. We are today considered as one of the most attractive investment destinations for technology transactions in the world. We have a very strong IIT system, which is ranked on 6th on scientific publications and 10 on patents. So we also, if you look at the Nature Index, we are 9th overall. And in terms of overall publications in scientific and engineering domain, we are 3rd in the world. After US, China, we are the next one. But there is still big difference in numbers. Our investment in science and technology is, though high, it's not very high enough. So there are many pluses and minuses. If you look at space application, my domain, I want to tell you that space is now emerging very, very important element in every area. We are also getting connected through internet. We are also becoming part of the big data analytics decision-making chain. So the entire space activities are now linked to communication, image processing, data surveillance. Everything becomes part of the overall digital infrastructure. If you look at the R&D growth in the country, we were once to 81st. Now we are slowly going to 39th rank in the Global Innovation Index, which is really good. In terms of patents, we can see there is a significant growth because there is a drive from the government to increase patents. And then patenting becomes an important activity through its support. Publications, I already told. PhDs, also we are in science and engineering, we are also the 3rd in the global numbers. Another measure, if you look at startup, we see the startup ecosystem is growing very, very fast. The numbers are very clear. We also see investors, venture capitalists, private equity firms, and incubators being talked about, seen everywhere now. Now they are becoming one of the hallmark of every discussion table. Startup also significantly showing increase, almost 1.5 lakh startups in the country currently. And out of the startups, some of them turn into unicorns. And the rate of change of these startups to unicorns is also very high now. Possibly, I can say it's 3rd rank in the world. We also have issues in the defense side. I think the space becomes important area there. So we are trying to integrate the global observation, global communication, global navigation. And this global feeling was never there in this area, but slowly that is coming. We thought that we can exist as a nation with looking at country alone, but no longer it's going to be unless we create capabilities in all of this. We cannot preserve ourselves to be a strong nation. So all of this become important. So expansion of the capability in communication, navigation, and surveillance becomes important to establish global capabilities. We also see the Digital India initiatives everywhere. The Digital India is something which has a success story. I think all of you know the UPI payments, the Aadhaar systems, and many of the digital processes in India is actually much better than many other part of the world. And this is a drive from government to create one of the highest broadband connectivity infrastructure, with the internet at one of the lowest ever price ever in the world, and access which is very, very there, and corresponding job markets also increasing. We also see drive by many of the governments to move to e-governments processes, which is very good. So there are significant initiatives and efforts seen everywhere to convert India to a digital India. We also see drive in electronics and chip manufacturing. I think recently, possibly you know that there is 100% FDA announced through automatic routes. Special economic zones are getting established for electronics production. A lot of preferred market access there, and also training and creating capacities in various areas in electronics manufacturing is one of the important goal. All of us know that electronics production and electronic development is one thing that we missed in our industrial growth, and that really impacted us in a big way. Every sector, including automotive sector, entertainment sector, to space, everywhere we are dependent on electronics from other nations today, and this is a very serious issue that country faces. But we look at India's infrastructure. I think we should be very proud to see that our infrastructure is growing very well. We have 6.4 million kilometer road, which is second largest globally. Our railway track expansion has been tremendous, almost tripled in the recent 20 years of time, and we are maybe the 4th largest in the world. And we also see the metros growing every cities, though the rate of growth is not sufficient with the growth in number of people. The airport has almost doubled, and there is a port creation effort which is called Sagarmala project is going on with the container transship terminals. If you look at the energy infrastructure, we see the power availability is growing with a significant percentage coming from non-fossil fuels. And we are one of the leaders in non-fossil fuel energy production. There are experts here, possibly they should speak or comment later. Similarly, I mentioned about the digital infrastructure in which the internet users, one of the world's lowest rate and highest users. 5G rollout recently happened in some districts on using our own digital hardware infrastructure. So all of this is really an indicator of the infrastructure growth. Equally important is the announcements and initiative of government to create the significant infrastructure growth in smart cities, creating industrial corridors. I think possibly those who are sitting in Kerala may not know this, that industrial corridor creation is going on very well, especially in some of the North Indian area. In something very close to us is the Coimbatore belt, Chennai belt. I think those growth is really significant. In logistics, Gati Shakti plan is getting integrated with the infrastructure growth. You can also see there are corresponding social and civic infrastructure growth in electricity access, water, housing, healthcare. Sustainability and growth, there is a push from government, especially on the EV schemes, urban cleanliness, green building infra. Of course, all of these are many of them are not moving. The rate of change or growth is not significant enough to say they are great success, but at least there is an initiative in sustainability and green push from the government. Now, equally important is to look at the engineering and educational landscape of India. Look at engineering strengths that we have. So we have the largest engineering pipeline in terms of educational institutions. We are almost 1.5 million engineers produced annually from almost 3,500 engineering colleges, like IITs and all others. And that is really a global workforce that we are supplying. And they are everywhere. They are there in the IT sector, in the aerospace, automotive sector, civil infrastructure, energy and power, manufacturing. Equally well, we know that there are issues with respect to employment as well. But at least we are in an ability to produce large number of engineers to support and produce for them to support these type of engineering industries in a big way. But if you look at the global impact of these engineers, we can see that they are everywhere. They are there in Microsoft, they are in Google, IBM, Adobe. Also, they serve in various parts across the world. And we know that we are one of the backbone of the global tech support and engineering design. So in the strength area, we see Indian engineers play a very big role in semiconductor electronics designs. Also in AI, robotic, quantum computing hubs, they are there, defense tech and startup hubs. In sustainable engineering, we see them. I think this is really a show of strength of Indian engineering mindsets, keep strong talent pool. And we have an inherent ability to do complex designs, ability to execute large-scale projects. I think we are respected from that point of view world over. We also see the educational system is one of the biggest. I mentioned about the engineering, but then you look at other feeding institutions like schools and other universities. And this is also getting a lot of attention from government with the different supportive policies, which includes the national education policy, which was announced in the recent times, reforming many of the education aspects. Also, the higher education institution new law is going to be enacted. I think possibly it will be put in Parliament soon, which allow little more integration of various institutions that regulate and control educational processes. I think that's also a very important point. Also, we see the growth of number of institutions, especially IITs, Indian Institute of ISRs, IAMs, AIMS. I think their numbers are increasing because the aspiration of the public in terms of access to this education institution is increasing. So corresponding, the numbers are increasing, but still there is always demand for more. I think it will happen in due course of time, I believe. But the role of private universities is equally important. I think private universities are putting all their effort to create leading universities by huge amount of investment, and that is also shown by the confidence of the students. And there is lot of investment happening in various high-tech domains. They are creating centers of excellence, and the students from there are well recognized world over. There is also a thrust in these universities to create entrepreneurial and startup cultures. I think this is very important. I think students are now being told that you are no longer going to get jobs, but you are going to be job creators. So there are policies supporting creation of private universities. I think this is and as standalone capable institutions. I think TKM also being part of that. I think it's really a great thing to make advantage of this and then move forward. We also see there is significant enrollment. Also, the higher institutions numbers I already mentioned. I don't want to repeat that. Now, there are a lot of reforms happening in the educational landscape, which is policy side, which is national education policy. Now has been announced in 2020, but then implementation got delayed. But now slowly it is getting adopted. There are many elements of it, which includes multidisciplinarity, holistic learning in mother tongue, then going through coursework and then changing your likes and dislikes, which will ultimately decide where you get graduated. So of course institutions need to reform their examination process, evaluation, etc. in due course of time. But these are early steps that we have taken to reform the education. And edtech business is one of the highest in India. I think India is a global hub for edtech platforms where digital content creation, supporting education. But there are challenges in education. I think all of us know that there are big access limitation to rural population. There is still a gender gap. There are complaints from employers that the skill mismatch is still there. But then if you look at the global standing, we won't see our university still at the top. Just today I saw one of the comment that only IIT Mumbai is only in the top 20 universities which are capable of generating largest of the tech companies in their ability creating new companies. I think only Bombay IIT alone figures in the top 20 universities of the world. Now we understand these technology changes are happening, but there are technologies for ultimately for what? It is for social good, societal good. I think these important points we need to understand, and how digital technologies will help e-learning, telemedicine, e-governance. I think access of these to the large number of people becomes important. How technology will help in the climate adaptation of engineering and renewable energy becomes an important topic. Agri-tech and food security innovations are the one which will ultimately decide how the nation is going to survive the large population, keep them healthy. Affordable health and assistive devices becomes important. Health is going to be one of the important topic of the entire countries soon, because we don't realize its scale and potential when more population come into the fold of medical care. It becomes too costly for any nation to maintain it, and this technology is only way where we can provide diagnostic support and healthcare support. So when impactful technology comes out of both engineering capability as well as social empathy, and this is where the whole planning need to happen. Now, we also have to have resilient system that will be able to handle shocks and disruptions like COVID. And all on a sudden, the country cannot come to standstill. If you have a strong backup in technology, I think we will be able to handle it very well. Now, we also discuss that sustainable future is a function of how we do engineering properly. Basically, we have balance growth with ecology in mind. Slowly using our energy to renewables, including green hydrogen, it becomes important as a nation. We also talk about circular economy, which talks about water, wastewater, and net zero infrastructure creation, and how much we actually implement becomes important. So ultimately, we say that earlier the engineering was focused on artifacts, building systems, but now we don't talk about building systems. We talk about how do you build experiences. So when we talk about even a metro design, we don't talk about just a metro train and rail track. We talk about how metro travel becomes an experience for the person who actually travel. So even medical care, digital life being, everything is sort of an experience, not just the technology. So how do you really become human-centric in design all of this when you really do, where comfort, convenience, empathy, societal support will become essential part of the engineering effort. Now, if you look at our technology domains, let us see that we see great growth in bioscience. I think bioscience becomes very, very important for the nation. Whether we have 12 big biotechnology companies, and we are called one of the pharmacy in the world because we build and supply almost 60% global medical medicines and maybe a little bit of vaccines. But there is still significant growth predicted in this because there are a lot of startups in biotechnology startups which possibly will slowly grow. We also see focused education, medical research happening in many institutions. But number of vaccines that we could produce were not many. I think because of the various regulatory issues, this is not happening. I think government is looking at how we can look at regulatory environment properly to allow medical, medicine testing. Similarly, the vaccine trials, data collection rules and regulations, animal trial support. I think all this becomes important if you have to really make a big mark there. Equally important is how you integrate traditional and integrative medicines in the life. And because India is very strong in that, and how we can properly integrate that will really bring down sometimes. I'm not very sure about it, the cost of medical access. Similarly, the focus on biosciences is also very good. I think a lot of institutions are putting effort in molecular biology and cell science, stem cell research, and neurosciences. In genomics, we can see there is a project called Indian Genome Project, but this started, but large-scale genome mapping is still not happened. There is a target that the entire gene map of India must be done because it will give a big advantage to the government to look at the medicine, the overall history, tracking will become important, and we can plan personalized and specific medicines. But we can see there is a growth of genomic startups now. There are many companies into this area domain who is slowly coming up. You can buy kits and then do your mapping. Also, you can see in your gut genome mapping and many things. Equally interesting is brain research and neuroscience also getting a lot of attention. I have seen at least 2-3 institutions are focused on brain research with a lot of private funding because businesses see that brain research and neuro research is something which is very, very important, and India can make a significant leap in this because we can integrate sensors, AI, data, and computational capability into these domains. Look at agriculture is becoming one of the very important domain because government also see agriculture technology infusion becomes so important in various production, food processing, value addition, and its corresponding impact on employment. So this is important issue for us, and where research need to happen, especially in terms of looking at agricultural land, soil health monitoring, IoT services, AI advisories, digital data initiatives to look at products, marketing, sales. So a lot of applications are come up, business are come up, especially in the domain of farmer support systems, satellite data integration, agriculture, insurance. I think ISRO also played a role in rolling out one of the important app called the YesTech to guarantee agriculture insurance claims to be settled much, much faster based on real-time analytics. There are other technologies integration happening in terms of agriculture, for example, water tech related technologies, solar power integration with pumps and irrigation systems, post-harvest supply chain management, including market access, traceability, price fixing, predictions. Agri-fintech is also becoming important for some of the companies. Banks are putting a lot of money into developing agri-fintech companies. One of my batch, my ISRO colleague left ISRO and then started a agri-fintech company. Is hugely successful. And a lot of startup companies are emerging in this space, including drone space areas. So there is a lot of opportunity integrating technology with agriculture. Sustainability is another area where there is a lot of possibility for businesses. The Paris Agreement said that we will reduce emissions significantly. I don't know whether everybody will be able to honor it. The net zero announcement by 2070 is already there as part of the COP26. There is also a national action plan of climate change. And a lot of such activities are happening around sustainability, and sustainability becomes a buzzword everywhere. So we also have a lot of role to play because India being a big nation, we are having the biggest solar energy, renewable energy. We're part of the Solar Alliance. We also work on energy efficiency rating across various hardwares. Green and hydrogen mission is one of the important things. A lot of people are focusing on this in terms of producing green hydrogen at an affordable cost, something like $1 per kilogram. Compact nuclear reactors become an important topic of discussion, and some development efforts are happening, possibly buying initially and then later indigenizing. So a lot of such activities in the domain of sustainability is getting focus. Also looking at sustainability in urban transport, EV, Swachhata, circular economy, forest biodiversity, coastal and mangrove protection, all of this, life movement so all of these are becoming part of the agenda discussion. I think the businesses realize that unless you focus on this while we do the core business, you have an advantage in terms of taxation, market access, credits, the carbon credit. I think all of this becomes a topic in the business. Now, let me take to the last part of my talk is on India's mission and goals. For example, India's national missions include the space program. I think we have a great support in building our future space program, including the moon exploration, building space station. We also have a significant defense investment in recent times, focusing on indigenization and reducing imports. Quantum mission is having significant input now. Solar mission is another with a great target of around 280 gigawatt of power production. Electric mobility plan is again EV adoption, green hydrogen mission, bioenergy and bio-waste mission, biotechnology development strategy, which is called BIRAC. There's a huge amount of investment and startup coming out of this part of it. Vaccine mission, which showed some results in COVID-19. Genome mission I mentioned. At Digital India mission, AI mission, National Cybersecurity mission. So there is government has a program called Mission Mode approach to key domains, and there is separate funding for all of this. Similarly, in other initiatives include Make in India, Startup India, Atal Innovation Missions, and all of this get some form of funding for new companies. NEP, I think all of you know, those who are in the educational domain know NEP is now slowly getting accepted, which will give you certain flexibility, governance, freedom, inclusion, internalization, and taking across international education to come to India, and many such positive sides. The biggest weakness that India faces today is the weak academic and industrial linkages. So this is something which government realizes, that academic systems are there, very good, they are doing research, but they are not solving the problems of the industry, which need to happen on a basis, and we need to get money for the research to support this activity. So this is one of the strong and demanding area where we need to put effort. Now we see there is a huge opportunity. There are many domains that India has great potential, and I am not going to go through each of them. This is based on a study done by government. It looks at that we have a great opportunity in many of these areas where we may be very close to compete with the nation. But you see, one of our neighbor is ranked 1 still in many of these areas, which is a possibility that we also can be one day. But there are gaps in many areas because one of the important gap that India faces is our expenditure for R&D and technology development is very small. Of our GDP is only 6.64%, and our investment in terms of people, facilities is also low. I think this is and private money that comes into research. Unless we expand it significantly, our growth in technology and compatibility with other nations will not really be significant. So for that, there are a lot of efforts now happening. How we can do this through looking at semiconductor and electronic manufacturing focus, which that India is now slowly pushing this. Almost 75,000 crore has been announced as incentives for companies to come and set up early companies. Now at least 3-4 companies are already building their plants, but they are into packaging, not into the wafer business. But slowly we believe that it will come. Like a Maruti came one day. Today we have a huge automotive infrastructure. So this is likely to happen. Similarly, on cyber physical systems, we have a focus now where drones and integrating with the urban mobility. This is another autonomous navigation. Recently, I also had a conference with a lot of stakeholders on how we can really bring drones as a personal transport system and what are the regulations and controls required to make this transition to this possible. AI, there is an India AI mission. You know that there is a Bharat Gen large language model development happening in 20 Indian languages, which is very significant growth development has really happened. But equally important is government is funding to create a large compute infrastructure to support this AI development. Biomanufacturing is another area where there is a lot of focus given by the biology department of ministry to fund through a policy called Bio E3 policy to create companies with the private-public partnership. And manufacturing of this is really going to be very important, especially chemicals manufacturing, biological, food and related proteins, biotherapeuticals, climate resilient agriculture manufacturing. So there are a lot of focused centers are coming up in some states. Electric mobility is getting a lot of support. Incentives are there in terms of batteries and charging infrastructure slowly developing. But there are other discussions happening in this domain, moving from electric mobility to hydrogen mobility. That's a topic which need to be evaluated over a long period of time. Sustainable agriculture is another area where precision farming, post-harvest and bio. For that, there are a lot of governmental support now if those who invest in this areas. And some research is happening in some of the technology institutions where I have visited. Some IITs have specific cells to look at agriculture technology development as part of their multidisciplinary domain research. Healthcare and medical technology is receiving maximum attention across technology domains, gene therapy, robotics, regenerative medicines, synthetic organs. One of the universities in US, I think many of the universities in US are receiving highest of the funding in this domain, primarily from government and private institutions to focus on this. In India, is also we may likely to get, and the effort is towards that. But the biggest issue faced by Indian technology engineering domain is this, where the basic R&D part, the 1, 2, 3 steps are funded by government. But to support this prototype and commercialization, there must be private R&D funding. I think this is the key. So there we see there is a gap between the basic R&D funding can be given by by government, whereas private sector is always interested in finally taking the product to commercialization. So in between there is a step called prototyping, taking from technology readiness level 3 to 6. This area there is a shortage of fund. That's why there is something called ANRF has come, called Anusandhan National Research Foundation, which has a corpus of almost 1 lakh rupees. And the CEO is now appointed. They are through that, about 3-4 months are there. So basically what it does is it brings money from government and private in equal terms. And this money will go to fund creating R&D facilities to help and support product development process. So this is a new start. Hopefully, let us see the result, wait and see how it goes. So how to create universities linked to startup incubator industry cluster. And this is a dream that all of us have. The universities contributing to the technology development and the faculty moving in and out of the industry back and forth, and they're contributing to the technology ecosystem as we see it in many, many nations. I think where there is a technology growth, I think universities are an integral part of it. So if you look at institutions, I think we see many institutions. I am not going to elaborate on it. All of these are driven by some institutions like the Department of Science and Technology. So they are part of the government of India. They do the analysis, funding of most of this, including ANRF is piloted at Department of Science and Technology. We also have the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research with its 39 laboratories with 17,000 employees across various disciplines. In Kerala, there is one lab, but across country, there are 39 labs handling different technology domains, right from food to nuclear energy. So material science, AI, compute capability, and so many, I think medicines, biological sciences. So including National Aerospace Laboratories, one of the CSIR labs. So their role is significant today because they are the one who work in the translation of engineering knowledge into products and services. So how they are effective becomes very important, and that evaluation becomes important. ISRO is well known for their work in space, so I don't want to elaborate. They work from everything, buildings, rockets, satellites to applications and deliveries, so societal services. We also have the Defense Research and Development Organization, which builds systems. They have 52 laboratories across the country, and they work from so many domains. They work on missiles to food for the army personnel. So that's one issue which they are facing, and they are going to get a big transformation. That entire architecture of DRDO is going to be changed in another few months of time. And similarly, atomic energy is also going through this it reforms now because atomic energy has fundamental research work. They also work on commercial energy production. They also work on food processing, medical care, and many other areas. So their role in the future becomes important when you look at greener energy, because nuclear fuel is now considered as a green energy, especially when you build compact nuclear reactors, which doesn't require any service for 20 years once it is fueled. I think such power packed systems are really going to change how cities and power-hungry data centers are going to survive in the future. Similarly, agriculture research institutions and related bio research institutions are one of the important areas where our future is depending upon, and they do fundamental work on plant, genetics, biochemistry, soil health, agriculture research, etc. Now, let me conclude saying in 2-3 slides how we are going to be important in all these discussions. See, us senior engineers who have now spent our life in various domains, our role is in looking at this change domain and create mentorship and knowledge transfer to young engineers and startups, because they are the ones who we can help. So we should support wherever there is an initiative in community-based technology projects for water, energy, and waste. Also, we should work as public policy and advisor roles for sustainability missions. I think with the skill and capability, how we can do this is something we should discuss. And we should also help in experience-driven innovation, frugal engineering. Helping young people to start new business should be our role. I think that is what we can do very well. So to do that, I think all of us cannot be living in a world that my learning is over, my education is complete, I have done what is required. But we should continue to remain abreast with the latest of the things, with AI, sustainability, data technologies. You should learn, reskill, and stay curious. Lifelong curiosity is one of the engineer's most valuable skill, I believe. I think all of you need to continue to remain students. Relevance comes from the continuous understanding, collaborate beyond disciplines. So we should innovate ethically for India's real change, redefine our retirement as refinement, should join some professional and voluntary engineering forums, mentor young minds, be innovators, and let us guide India's next technological leap. And the new mindset what we need to develop is that we should don't talk too much about efficiency. Let us talk about sustainability. We should not talk about products. Let us talk about experience, that what we do will give to others. We should not talk about individual expertise, but more of interdisciplinary collaboration becomes an important topic. And more than output, what impact it makes, what outcome it develops is becoming important. I think this is a changing mindset of engineering now. And finally, let me say, engineers are in the domain of responsibility, and we are in the art of responsibility. So we should combine our technology knowledge with empathy and integrity. And this is not just, we are working not just for systems, but to offer a sustainable India. So our roles are that is to become a mentor for a new generation, participate in the nation building, and for retirement is just only from official responsibility and not from life. I think with this thought, let me stop here and say in India for 1947, and we are going to be in a future technology-driven world, absorb the change and adapt to remain relevant, contribute as much you can to the society and nation building. Thank you so much.